Baby, I do. Baby, they ask with who will I spend my life, and boy, I tell them with you. We'll be together till the end of time. Forever, baby, I do. I'll never leave your side, no. I'm stuck to you, I must glue.
Something that I do unconsciously to be a better spouse for Shari is to unconsciously, wow. I think just continue to try to be me. Like, how can I just try to be me all the time? I think a lot of times in relationships, we always try to figure out what will make that other person happy. Like, what do you want to do? What do you want to eat? Or where would you like to go? Or, what should I wear today? And I think that they fell in love with who you were as a single individual. And so when you operate in that, they fall in love with you even more because you're just being who you are. So subconsciously, that's kind of what I try to remain to do, just be me. Like, I want to wear this. I want to do this. I want to eat this. So I'm going to do. And that's why she likes me for who I am. And consciously, I think always trying to be better, a better version of myself. I think that makes her extremely happy. And I do everything that I try to do to be better through love. You know what I mean? Like, even though I may not get the results that I want when trying to be a better person, I just do it out of love. And I think that she sees that, and we both are able to learn from that, and that's what makes it work.
I think consciously what I do is I try to think beforehand how something is going to play out before it happens, and try to do preemptive things to make sure I don't upset her about something that I know is going to upset her. I'm working on consistency with different things, which is, with Ashley, her issue with me a lot of times has been not a lack of consistency. I'm consistent with the important things, big things. Small things, not so consistent with, like, if she wants me to put dishes in the dishwasher, not putting dishes in the dishwasher.
Trash.
And I take, okay, this is my segment. Yeah. I know. Trash. Yeah. Just different things like that. I have an issue with at times. And I think subconsciously, I think something that I always do is I temper the way that I talk to her about certain things. Sometimes I think it helps. Sometimes I think that it doesn't. Because sometimes she takes it as me being patronizing and condescending when I'm really, like the tone I'm using now, this low kind of melancholy tone. She can't stand that sometimes. Sometimes it works fine. Other times it's like, yeah, it just causes friction.
I don't know what to say. I want to just like
Copy paste.
like retweet that one.
Consciously, I would say I taper, which you may not think so, but it's tapered. I taper my mouth and my attitude. Still working on that, but it's definitely tapered. I also which I mean, I guess is kind of the same thing. I always make a point of being respectful and approaching things from a respectful way. Now, we kind of differ sometimes on what that means, but that's what I'm consciously trying to do. Unconsciously, it's kind of hard to say, because, yeah, I can't really think of anything unconsciously that I find myself doing.
Something that I do unconsciously for Dane would be, for sure, reminding myself that it is bigger than me. This is something that he's been instilling into me like day one. So now it's become so unconscious to the point where we exuberate peace, love, and happiness, that we made a foundation from it, the World Peace Connection. And it's like, it's so unconscious that like when people meet us, they just want to know more. And it's like, oh, wait, I do make you feel like you feel good about yourself. So yeah, I thank you for that, honey. I thank you for that. And then consciously, maybe my tone. I have a way of coming off like kind of aggressive New York tone. So he always reminds me to like, just relax. Just, everybody's human. Just calm down, relax. It's going to be okay. And, seeing the best out of somebody. I definitely try to be super conscious about that.
The highs and lows of marriage, I don't know, that could change by the minute, by the day. It's really, I think, a matter of perspective. Because me and Cass could argue about cauliflower if we wanted to. We could argue about what time we leave to go to church, and whatever the case may be. I think the highs are when you make the decision to look past somebody's faults or they look past yours. The lows are when you don't. That's really what it comes down to. Marriage is a matter of you being able to see somebody through and through. And it's just like, what do you do with that? And I think when you are able to look past it and love somebody through it, that's a high. Forget about the vacations, the trips, the anniversaries. All those things are good, but you can just as easily have a fight on Valentine's Day as you can on a Wednesday night. So I think it's a matter of just how you treat the other person in regards to the level of respect, the level of affection that you show, and all those different things. It's a matter of like daily, by the minute, making that other person a priority and really showing them how much you value them at any situation.
It's really all the lows in our marriage have come when I lose sight of the fact that like this is our marriage and we're trying to accomplish something. When I think about my own feelings and what I want over the fact that like he's in this too and he's like stuck in this for life, that's when things get low. And it's like, well, I want to be here early, or I want to eat this, or I want to do that. Then we have lows. But when I'm like, oh, well, let me think about like, what does Mike want to do and what do I want to do? Then it's easy to have a high. Some of our biggest highs are like grocery shopping, because it's just like the most tedious thing, but we do it together and somehow make it fun. And it's something you don't expect, versus when you put like all this expectation on something, you're like, oh, I'm only giving you a chance to fall from grace if it's like, you have to be up here and you have to be perfect. Like, that's so unattainable. But when it's like, hey, just come as you are, then you're going to surprise me and make things great.
I think the shopping's fun because we dance in the aisles and old people
Make up
look
rap
at us
songs.
goofy. Yeah.
I can only speak for me. I feel like I got in a space where I got really comfortable and really like just not really pressed for whatever reason. And so I think that greatly changed the type and frequency of the sex. Now, that is something that we're currently working on, getting back to how it was, or back to a new version of whatever we want it to be. But yeah, it definitely changed to me.
I concur wholeheartedly. It changes. I don't say it changes. I think that it changes for the majority of couples, in my opinion, based on our situation, other situations that I've seen, other friends that I have. I think a big thing. And we've talked about this before. Like, I think that a lot of times I don't think that people are completely honest about the things that they want, that they like. And you put a lot of time into lying about what you into. And then when you get into marriage, now all of a sudden people feel free to, I can let the cat out the bag now. I can just do everything. I can just show you what I want, or I can just not do something that I only did because I was trying to get you. And it causes friction. I think we had some miscommunication, a lot of preconceived notions about what she liked or what I liked, and it caused us to butt some heads. But I think in that department now, I think we're in a much better space and moving in a much better direction with that. But yeah, short answer is yes. It just changes.
All right. So our stay together moment would probably be like,
I'll let you take that one first.
when I got accepted to Georgia Southern University, and we both started off at Georgia Perimeter because we didn't know what we wanted to do after high school. So we decided to go to a community college. And then the community college was only for 2 years. And I wanted to go to Georgia Southern. And Dane's like, well, I don't want to go. And that was like the moment where we both were like, let's be adults. Let's figure out what works the best for us. And if it's you going to Georgia Southern and me going to Georgia Gwinnett, then God will provide.
Yeah.
God will allow us to stay in our lanes to work through it. And I think a lot of couples, when it comes to choosing a school, when it comes to choosing a career, they kind of break, especially when your school is far away. My school is like 4 hours away, and we did not let that stop us from our true love.
Okay, so my stay together moment, it was a few years into the relationship. I had gotten to a space where I felt like the consistency wasn't there that I needed. I'm a person that's really big on consistency and feeling like I can depend on someone. You know, I didn't really have my dad in my life, and so I think I kind of replaced that role with the role of a man or a relationship, in the sense of wanting somebody that I can rely on, and say something's going to happen, it's going to happen. Where I felt like there was a lot of situations where he was kind of dropping the ball on that. So that was a point in the relationship where I really had to kind of question, like, is this what I want to do? Do I want to just kind of make a break here? Or do I really want to work, be patient and work with him on this and stay? And so we had to have literally a come to Jesus talk, and listen, this, we gonna have to, this ain't gonna work. So we did, and he seriously promised and this and that to work on it. And so we decided I decided to stay.
That was one side.
Yes, I decided to stay, and here we are. That was my stay together moment.
When I hear stay together, what comes to my mind, the moment for me was very early on in our relationship. I have no idea what we were fighting about, what the issue was, what the problem was. But as I said earlier, in this relationship, I didn't operate in the same insecurities that I once did before. So we were fighting about something, and Cass was really upset, and she got ready to jump up and storm out of my room. And instead of jumping up and running after her, I just sat back, and I was sitting on the bed, and I said, Cass, you're not going anywhere. Sit down. And I just saw the tension in her mind, wait, he's right, but I'm mad, and this is normally what I do. This thought process, it was funny watching it, but she caught herself, and she was like, okay, and she sat back down. And so, number one, the level of respect that she showed me to listen in that situation showed a lot of personal restraint. But then also the fact that I was confident enough in her knowing that she wasn't going to go anywhere, and that I wasn't going to go anywhere, because people leave because they think that, oh, this person's going to end up leaving me, so let me leave first. But it was just the level of comfort that we had with each other. No, neither of us are going anywhere, so let's just figure this out. I think was the moment for me where I was like, well, this is different, because other people would have been like, nah, F you, I'm gone, or, whatever. But it was just and that was not really characteristic of me to even handle it like that. Because I'd be like, all right, fine, go. In every other relationship, I would say bye, and I wouldn't have chased after him, because I was like, I don't play that game. But instead of not playing that game and allowing things to escalate and move further, it was just like, hey, sit down. This is not what we're doing. And for it to work, I was like, well, this is something different.
My stay together moment that I would identify with is the time when we were in Indonesia, which was recently, actually almost a year coming up from this date. We were in a situation that was just insane. But although we weren't, I guess engaged in that moment, you weren't officially my fiance, I still didn't feel the need to ever feel like I could just walk away. I was like, no, this is my lady. I'm here, and I'm gonna figure this out regardless. We're gonna figure this out, and we're gonna leave Indonesia together. That's what it's about. And I didn't really realize that it was a stay together moment until I talked to her sisters, and they were like, thank you, Dane, for staying there and helping us out, and really trying to figure this out, because you don't have to leave. You don't have to be there. You could come back to the States. And I was like, dang, that's right. I could. You know, I could easily buy a ticket right now and go back to the States, but I was like, no, like I'm here. This is my woman. Like I'm invested into to this beautiful being. I have to make sure that we both get out of this situation. And so I think even in that moment was like, I'm here regardless. Like I'm willing to die for it. And I'm glad that all efforts and that mentality was there because we are where we are today. So that was my stay together moment for our relationship.
My stay together moment, I think, was there was a period where we were definitely at odds on a regular. It's pretty consistent, and a lot of conversations, long extended conversations. And I'm a person that does not like long conversations about negative things for extended periods of time, multiple times. Like that aggravates me to no end. Or what I feel like are unnecessary conversations dealing with negative stuff. And I think that the friction was just pretty heavy. And I think that, you know, she was feeling some kind of way about things that I was doing. And, you know, I didn't really feel that I was doing things in the manner that she thought that I felt like that I was doing. And it just felt a little much. You know, and I kind of questioned, you know, is this what I want to deal with? Or you know, on the flip side of that, you know, am I actually in a position to make her happy? Because if, you know, this is who I am, if who I am or what I'm doing is bothering you to this degree, you know, maybe this isn't really what, you know, neither one of us need to be in. But I mean, that was more of a passing thought. I mean, I thought about it. But, you know, obviously we're sitting here having this conversation today. I think we've had our own individual come to Jesus moments, as she put them. And I think ultimately we made the best decision because I couldn't see myself being with anybody else than this strong-willed woman right here.
My stay together moment was Mike actually took the ring back. I don't even know what we were arguing about at this point, but we were at his apartment and I'm sure I got mad about something. And I was like, you know what? This time I did leave. This time I got in my car, I tried to smooth things out. So I'm like, okay, we'll talk later. This isn't a storm out, more so as I need to remove myself from the situation. But he came out to the car with me and we sat in the car and we ended up arguing about whatever we were mad about. And he's like, you know what? Give me the ring back. And so I was like, fine. And I gave it to him and I was going to drive off and I was like, do I want this to mark the end of our relationship? Whatever petty thing we were arguing over, is it worth throwing away this whole relationship? And I was like, when we get married, if we get married, because at that point, I didn't know, I was like, I won't be able to walk away from arguments like this, but I'm sure whoever I marry, I'm going to argue with again. And so I was just thinking is this what I want to do? And so I couldn't imagine my life without him. I couldn't imagine arguing with anyone else but him. And so I turned my car around and walked back into his apartment and I was mad and I was crying. But I was like, we're going to talk this out until we come to a resolution. And so I got the ring back at the end of that night. We worked it out.
It's like when God tells us to dream bigger, that is the moment when you have to realign your goals personally, personally, individually, and together as a relationship. And when God puts out in your spirit to figure out what your dreams are and dream bigger, that is your stay together moment. Are you down for what I'm going, the things that I want to do? Are you down?
Yeah.
And if you're not, then let's compromise. Let's communicate. Let's have trust with one another. Let's believe in each other.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
That's something that we do every day. When it comes down to what do you want to eat? You know, something so simple like that.
Of it, yeah. So, and I think even with that is that's why we even take it apart. We've seen how that compromise or that sense of believing in somebody else's dream is so magnificent that it allowed us to experience what love is and what God is, because God is love. That's why we created the World Peace Connection. That's why we go around asking people what inspires them. I mean, we go around asking people this question: what inspires you the most about life and living? because we realize that if we can get people to think about what their inspiration is, that will get them one step closer to the things that God has called them to do. And when they are doing what they're called to do, they'll be so in love with life that everything else will attract to them to find that right person, to find that right career, to find that right place where they're supposed to be at, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. And it allows them to just walk in their purpose. And that's why we do what we do. This is our stay together moment.
Like world peace connection, developing a business together that we see that's more than just a business. It's a movement.
It's a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle, exactly. Yeah. It's something that we implant in different people, and we hope that seed will grow by just asking you a simple question.
So our question for everybody else is, what inspires you the most about life and living?
I'll say the songs that we hear that make us think of each other probably aren't on the radio. Number one, my guy Xavier Omar. He went by Spazzy Rocket before, but he's got this song called Soon Enough. That's kind of like one of our theme songs. And then I know one that you're going to say, so I'm going to let you say that one. And then another one is, I think is what, Dance? What's the...
That was the one I was going to say. Shut Up and Dance with
Shut
Me.
Up and Dance. So randomly
So that's our song. Shut Up and Dance with Me.
I have no idea why. Like literally one day it was playing. I don't know where we were at, but the song, like I had never heard this song before. And she runs up to me, Mike, our song is on.
This is our song.
And I was like, what is this? She's like, shut up and dance. I was like, I've never heard this before in my life. We've never talked about it. But somehow in her mind, in a past life or whatever, this was our song. And so.
What you think? What make you think about me?
That varies. Okay, I'll say two in particular. Mm-hmm. That song, the Beyonce song.
Which one? It's not on the Lemonade album, is it?
No, it's not.
I'm just checking.
That song about I don't know why you love me, but that's why I love you.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That song, and then the John Legend "All of Me" song. I think about.
That's sweet. Makes me feel special.
Ooh. So 3 songs that makes me think about Shari. One would be Music Soul Child, Better Man. This was one song that I dedicated to her when we was like 17. Yeah, that was a really special song for me. I'm a soul person, and so when I listen to Music Soul Child and that song comes on, it's like, yo, she literally makes me want to be a better man because of her love for me and her drive for herself, of wanting just to be better herself, makes me want to be a better person. Secondly, what would be another song that makes me think about Shari? Any Beyonce song makes me think about Shari. Not because of, depending on the lyrics of the song or what song it may be, but I think just like what Beyonce represents, and not just because she's part of like a beehive or nothing, but like because she is a Beyonce fan, but I think because of what Beyonce represents for women in our culture of just being an amazing individual who's operating in their purpose, and they're inspiring so many people based off of what they're doing themselves. I think that's why Shari loves Beyonce so much. So when I listen or I see Beyonce, I'm like, yo, I believe that my wife has that same impact, and she's working towards that for whatever she wants to do. If it's with World Peace Connection or when she goes out to speak or model or whatever that may be, she will have that same impact that women all around the world will look at her and be like, yo, whenever I hear Shari Young speak or whatever, I feel that same power that Beyonce gives me. And the third song will probably be, what?
I don't know. What are you going to say?
Oh, My Eye. Yeah, I would say My Eye. That's a song that I wrote. And I had Shari in mind writing it. And that would be a song that I would say that, like, every time I hear it, it reminds me of this girl caught my eye. And because she did, I'm happy. Like, dang, you caught my eye. So it's a lot of women in the world, but you was the one that caught my eye. So I appreciate that.
Thanks.
So, like, the first time we hung out again after we reconnected, it was one of my friend's birthdays, and we went to Loca Luna, and it turns into salsa dancing. And so, Shut Up and Dance With Me is, like, total opposite vibe. But he wouldn't dance with me. Like, the whole night, he danced with one of our other friends there. And so then after that moment, after we like connected later in the car, whenever I hear that song, it would make me think about that night. But I guess I thought I had told him, but I never told him. And so I heard it in the store, and I was like spazzing out, and he was like, "What are you talking about?"
I didn't even know that part of the story of her, that being her reasoning. Like literally, to me, she pulled it out of thin air.
So whenever I was in the car, it made me think of him. And
no clue.
I thought you knew.
So wait, do you have another song?
So I was gonna say Spazzy Rocket, any Spazzy Rocket song, but definitely Soon Enough, and Shut Up and Dance With Me.
I guess that one from the joint with Sango. I don't know. So yeah, pretty much any Spazzy Rocket or Xavier Omar song, and then this is gonna be totally random and ratchet, but Ayo and Teo, Rolex, that is like the jam.
Okay, so this should have been one of my favorite moments of ours.
I thought you were gonna say it.
I don't know. We learned, like we were in student ministry, so we tried to stay like hip and cool and young. And so we taught ourselves the Rolly dance while watching YouTube in our living room.
No.
I think my songs are Thick by 2 Chainz.
Really?
What's wrong with that?
Well, that's why I asked what kind of songs we talking about now. We talking about other stuff.
It's whatever. She asked the question.
Okay.
It's whatever songs that you think. For me, it's Thick by 2 Chainz. It's A House Is Not a Home by Luther Vandross. Ain't Nothing Wrong with a Little Bump and Grind by R. Kelly. Those are mine. Yes.
3 songs that remind me of Dane would for sure be all his songs. That's for sure. So even if the song isn't about me, I'm like, by default, it reminds me of him because he's working in his creativity, working in his purpose of his music. Another song would probably be, what is that song that plays at like Nordstrom and Parkside District? What's his name?
Dang, what is my guy's name? I know which one you're talking about. Put at the wedding too. Yes, and then
another song, I think her name is Liana Havez. Unstoppable. Yeah, that was our wedding song. So, yeah, I forgot the second song that we're talking about. I want to say... I can't.
I'm having a straight brain fart right now. I cannot remember.
But he knows what song I'm talking about. And it's a song that he introduced me to. Because he used to play at his job all the time. And then I listened to the lyrics, and it's really beautiful. So, yeah, that would be it.
It actually started because I don't know how we got on this track, but there's a radio show that does this thing, Llama Llama Red Pajama.
Oh, yeah.
And Ludacris and Migos and a couple of other people had done it. And so we were just watching all of these Llama Llama Red Pajama videos. You know, you go on like the YouTube, just kind of rabbit trails. And so Ayo and Teo did one, and it was to their beat. Where it was basically they read this children's book called Llama Llama Red Pajama to a rap beat and try to turn it into a song. And so when we heard the beat, I was like, wait, what song is that? So we went and pulled it up, found out what it was, then found out there was a dance to it. So like we like moved everything in our living room in our old place and like watched the tutorial video, and I was like, we're gonna learn this dance just because I thought it would be something fun to do. And that was kind of like our theme song for a minute. Whenever we needed like energy before we would meet with couples or whatever, like just to turn up, we put on Rolex and go in.
Yeah.
Listen to you. Oh, go live on set.
I go live, but I don't have no problem.
That's because you got that 5 over there. You got this good old 8.
Well, it ain't that good, is it?
The Dream song. Blue Today.
No, that's not you. I'm trying to think. It's like a booty shaking song, but I can't remember which one. There's so many that I like.
That makes you think about me?
Yes.
Why does a booty shaker song make you think about me?
Like you want to dance or, whatever.
Oh, so you want to dance when you sing?
Yeah, sometimes.
Okay.
It just depends.
Jessica, you can answer first next time.
That's my man.
I'm always
My man
curious.
answered the question.
I'm always curious.
Poured his
to see
heart
what
out, and
y'all
she was
say.
like, so yeah, simply put, it's...
But y'all, we have to see it. You practiced it? You perfected it? Let's see.
I know I've been a little sick.
No. You just told us you felt so much better.
So he would like call me out at church and make me do it for other people,
Yeah,
but like wouldn't do it with me. It's like, oh, Cassie was a dance filmer, put it on social media, and I'm like the worst dancer, so like everyone just laugh at me like, yeah.
I don't know. It just like a booty song. Like booty songs sometimes will make me think about it.
So just booty songs in general. When you hear booty songs.
Like you want, back it up. You want to dance.
Okay. Yeah. I'm getting some good information here. I'm learning some
Like,
stuff.
this is new information.
But he would never do it with me in front of other people.
How did you practice it and you won't do it? That's so crazy.
Because it was just
Safety.
within our
Safety zone.
in our living room. Yeah, I don't think I've done it anywhere outside of here.
Well, you are in your living room, you know.
Yeah, with cameras.
The lights.
That's where I have to draw the line.